Hey everybody, what's up? Today I'll be giving a quick review of the hardware Apple announced in their fall event. But before we begin, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe as it really helps out this channel. Now, without any further delay, let's get started with the HomePod Mini. Now, these devices aren't coming with any hardware upgrades, but the new colors are nice. HomePod Mini will be available in yellow, orange, blue on top of the white and space gray variants. They go on sale in November for $99. We continue on the spatial audio and its influence on being an immersive and premium sound experience. Apple has had a lot of success with this, and they're adding to it with their third generation AirPods. Now, aside from the throwback of Apple's classic commercials, these AirPods are redesigned with spatial audio, new touch sensors, low distortion driver for better audio quality. They're also water and sweat resistant for those who want to be active while listening. The third generation AirPods come with a unique Apple feature Apple calls adaptive EQ, which is supposed to tune into the sound you're hearing through the device to match how it was originally produced in studio. All this is meant to give listeners a premium sound experience like no other. Out of these AirPods, you'll get up to 6 hours of listening time, fast charging, and when used with the included case, you can expect 30 hours of listening time altogether. The new design case is now compatible with wireless MagSafe accessories. AirPod 3rd generation will be available for $179, and you can order it today or pick it up in stores next week in addition to the rest of the AirPod lineup. Now let's move on to an updated performance where Apple announced 2 new chipsets replacing the M1 from last year. First off is going to be the M1 Pro, and now they have a new upgraded version of that called the M1 Max. Unlike traditional chips that have separate components, M1 has its CPU and GPU built into one housing. This allows it to compute data at a much faster rate, and these new chips are even faster than before. The M1 Pro has 32 GB of unified memory, which allows apps to have more space to get things done and allow better multifunction usage. With over 33 billion transistors, the M1 Pro is twice the size of the previous M1. It also has a 16-core GPU, double the 8 of last year's chip, giving it 2 times graphical performance. This year, Apple included a dedicated media engine to handle video playback. This engine can take advantage of ProRes, which allows playback up to 4K and 8K video streams. The M1 Max is set to be a beast of computing capabilities with 400 GB per second of memory bandwidth. It doubles the unified memory of the M1 Pro with its own 64 gigs and has 57 billion transistors, leading that of the M1 Pro and base M1 chip. A 10-core CPU and 32-core GPU, giving it 4 times the performance of last year's chip, and like the M1 Pro, it has a dedicated media engine to handle video playback. The M1 of last year already set the bar for performance. But when you look at the combined power of the M1 Pro and M1 Max, Apple Silicon is leaving its competition far behind. Which brings me to the star, or stars, of today's event, the newly designed MacBook Pros, and stick with me because there is a lot to cover. So let's start off with the keyboard. First thing that you'll notice is they got rid of the touch bar at the top, which, to be honest, was one of my favorite features about the older MacBooks. But I can understand why Apple decided to get rid of it. So replacing that is going to be a physical buttons at the top. This keyboard is going to be black on black. It's going to be backlit the exact same way as the older MacBooks were before, and have the same look and feel as the Magic keyboards that they use. On the right hand side, you've got a lot of ports. They're adding an HDMI port, Thunderbolt 4, and SD card slot. And on the left hand side, you're going to have the return of a 3.5mm headphone jack, 2 more Thunderbolt 4 ports, and also coming back from the older models is the MagSafe charger. This is a great accessory for when you want to use to charge up your MacBook fast and quickly. The M1 configuration allows connectivity up to 2 Pro XDR 8K displays, while if you were to go with the M1 Max, you can attach up to 3 Pro XDR displays and an additional 4K TV at the exact same time. All this while powering its own liquid Retina XDR display. This display comes in either a 16.2-inch form offering a pixel density of 3456 by 2234, or a 14.2-inch model with its own pixel density of 3024 by 1964. Regardless of which you choose, both are packing ProMotion, which allows for adaptive refresh rates up to 120 Hz, where the MacBook will adjust its frame rate to conserve battery and CPU. The bezels are now thinner, measuring in at 3.5mm, which are 24% thinner compared to the older models. The downside to this is there's now a notch at the top where the front-facing camera will be. macOS compensates for this by moving the menu bar to the top, aligning it with the camera notch. And when you're using dark mode, Apple says the notch will blend in right to the background. And in this notch, there is now a 1080p FaceTime HD camera that has a wider f.2 aperture. This, combined with a larger image sensor, allows for better quality video in low light. The new sensor will allow the machine learning to increase the overall quality of your videos. And what would a MacBook Pro be without great quality audio? Both models now feature 3 stereo quality microphones and a 6-speaker sound system, which increase the bass performance up to 80%, and both the MacBook Pros will feature spatial audio. Now, when compared to the previous 16-inch MacBook Pro, the new 16-inch M1 Pro and M1 Max are 2 times faster in CPU performance and up to 4 times faster in graphics, whereas the 14-inch models are going to be 3.7 times faster than their 13-inch predecessors, and that's regarding the CPU. They're going to be up to 13 times faster graphically. All this performance is going to be packed into either a 4.7-pound 16.8mm frame or a 3.5-pound 15.5mm all-aluminum body. The 14-inch MacBook Pro now has up to 17 hours of video playback, which is up 7 hours than before, and the 16-inch model has an incredible 21 hours of video playback, increasing 10 hours from the previous model. Both MacBooks can charge from 0 to 50% in 30 minutes, thus making these the best MacBooks and probably the best Macs overall that Apple has ever built. So there you have it. What are your thoughts on Apple's newest hardware? Are you guys just as hyped for the new Macs? If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps out this channel, and be sure to leave a comment on which color HomePod you guys would like to see unboxed, as I'll be getting one of those as soon as they're released. Until then, thanks for watching guys, appreciate it, and stay safe. Peace.